How was your life pre-politics?
A lot of people don't really know this about me. I think didn't even know that I existed.
Do you still have your old friends you go out, or maybe old friends that are connected here?
I don't think you as a person change. My circumstances might change, but who I am at the core, I don't think changes.
Any pressure you have till after winning the elections?
I honestly don't take pressure. For me, it's a privilege to be able to serve the people.
Anxiety issues बहुत हो रहे हैं आजकल youngsters में बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहे हैं. So how should one be?
Anchor yourself in one thing that gives you, pulls you through this moment.
Recently, Indian women has won the World Cup now qualified, and you also won the elections. What do you want to say something about women competition and inspiration?
I think India has the talent, and I'm very eagerly looking at how that ends up looking going forward.
Thank you so much for your time today. It was really difficult to find you, but आपने टाइम दिया हमारे को. ये बहुत ही एक ऑर्गेनिक पॉडकास्ट रहेगा. ये इंटरव्यू कर लेंगे, हम पॉडकास्ट कर लेंगे. Because ये totally non-political होगा. We try to keep it very organic क्योंकि we don't want to put few topics जिसकी वजह से ये पॉडकास्ट थोड़ा destroy हो जाए because we want to go very casual. I think जम्मू में आपके इंट्रोडक्शन की किसी का जरूरत है नहीं because of the recent success you've got and you won the Nagrota Constituency का election with a high win rate. But फिर भी मैं थोड़ा सा आपको इंट्रो मैं खुद ही दूंगा because we have audience out of state of Jammu and Kashmir also. So I would say कि currently you are like MLA from Nagrota Constituency. ये इंटरव्यू मैं थोड़ा सा डोगरी में भी करना चाहता था but मेरी अच्छी डोगरी है नहीं. I have heard you speak in Dogri also. So ये mix of English और हिंदी रहेगा.
जो ठीक है.
This is not a traditional interview जैसा रहता है and I'm not a journalist and I'm not a reporter. That is just for my passion. I'm doing it.
Wonderful.
And I'm the owner of ZETWORK and podcast news channel. So since I'm an entrepreneur and हम ये जो इंटरव्यू कर रहे हैं और पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हैं, so why we are doing it because we want to draw a parallel line between politics and entrepreneurship. So in between, if you feel like asking me anything, you can ask me just to push me with something. I'll try to answer those also.
Sure.
So first question is, how was your life pre-politics?
So a lot of people don't really know this about me because a lot of people I think didn't even know that I existed. And before politics, I spent the formative years of my childhood in Pathankot, and following that, moved back to Jammu, and I was educated throughout till the 12th in Jammu, after which I left for the US and went to UCLA and was educated there and was an exchange scholar at the London School of Economics. After that, I worked in the US for 1 year, and I had already decided that when I left, that I'll educate myself, gain experience and move back. So somewhere around 2018, I think January, I moved back, and since then I've been working in Jammu. I was looking at a media platform that we were running and a few other entrepreneurship opportunities as well. And unfortunately, after Devyani Singh Rana's passing, he himself wanted me to serve the people of Nagrota constituency, and he considered the people of Nagrota his family. And to be honest, for us, Nagrota and the people of Nagrota have always been an integral part of our lives growing up. And once he, in such circumstances, told me that I need to serve the people and fulfill the promises that he has made, is why I took the plunge into active politics. And that was then 1 year back, and people have been very kind, they've been very supportive, and they have allowed me the opportunity to kind of take forward what Rana Saab had set into motion. And today, as an elected representative of the people of Nagrota constituency, we've been able to work on various big projects and quite a lot of medium and small size projects as well to fulfill whatever demands that arise in the Nagrota constituency, especially in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor and incessant rains causing the floods. Recently, in fact, Nagrota constituency was allocated about 19 crores, 40 lakhs for permanent restoration of roads that were and infrastructure that was damaged during the rains. So we're very grateful that we are able to do work going on the path that Rana Saab would have walked on had he been here. And that's my way of paying such a stalwart a tribute.
Great. So we were talking about pre-politics. Do you have any thing to share, like your old friends? Are you still connected with them? Do you go for a drive with them? Do you still have your old friends you go out without any problem? कि मेरे पास security system है नहीं है, तो आप अभी भी old friends का connected हैं?
I don't think you as a person change. I've never been the kind of person who enjoys going out too much publicly. And anyway, so had you spoken to me 3 years ago, even then I would hang out with my friends at their homes. That's how we, like I told you, we have a mutual friend. So I was at their house 2-3 days back. I had gone with my siblings. I don't think that being in politics kind of takes away from that. However, my personality is such, I don't even prior would not indulge in, perhaps going for drives. I prefer to, either host people at home or go to their houses. And I'm the kind of person, I've had friends, we've known each other now since kindergarten. And so I am that kind of person. I like to stay connected with as many people as I can. In fact, just a few days back, so I was head girl and my assistant head girl, lovely individual, I met her coincidentally and hopefully we get to meet soon. So for me, the people that I've grown up with know who I am, and I would hope that if they meet me again, if we reconnect, they don't see the difference, because I as a person don't change. My circumstances might change, but who I am at the core, I don't think changes, and I would hope that that's the experience of other people as well.
Yeah, that's really great. So, any changes or pressure you have posted after winning the elections? Do you have any idea about what Devyani Singh Rana ji has a plan for Jammu constituency or Nagrota constituency? How's the pressure?
So very early on, I think for 1 month, we did all the religious ceremonies that are associated with someone passing to the other side. And since then, this was exactly 1 year ago. And now, there is not a day that I don't go to the Nagrota constituency, not because I take the pressure, but because these are people who have helped guide us through very difficult times. Even just meeting them has helped act like a balm. And so for me, I go to the Nagrota constituency every day and meet people. And if I'm not able to physically go there, I'm actively working on something that will benefit them. I honestly don't take pressure. I am bound to do their work with the promise that I've made Rana Sahab. So for me, it's a privilege to be able to serve the people. And I think that people have been very immensely kind, and we've been able to kind of take a lot of bigger projects and work on them. And hopefully, as the time passes, people will also be able to see the kind of work that we're committed to do on the ground. And instead of a pressure, I look at it as an opportunity to prove and show that the roadmap that Rana Sahab had for the Nagrota constituency, and because he was a very detailed individual, I don't know how he took out the time, but he would always have very detailed notes on what he wanted to do where. Nagrota constituency in the past, after the delimitation, now has 49 panchayats, and with varied topography. One end of it touches Akhnur and the other end touches Udhampur, Riasi, all of these areas. So we have a very vast constituency with a very vast topography, and it's a privilege to be able to figure out the gaps that exist anywhere and to be able to fill them. I think it's very fulfilling. Even today, I met an individual, a lady. Last year, her family members called me and she was direly ill, and I had to make a phone call to a senior medical officer there, and I had never spoken to them. I had never had the opportunity, and to be honest, it took me a minute to kind of go through Rana Saab's phone and see their number, and I didn't think twice about it. I made the phone call and they were so kind, and I met that lady today and she said that she was hale and hearty and healthy. And so for me, just being able to hug a person like that who's now healthy after ailing for so long and being able to assist in their journey in whatever way possible, that itself is the biggest gift. So that's what we are looking forward to, tackling problems at a constituency level and also at an individual level.
Because similar incident happened with us in 2006, and I was 23 years old and my younger brother was 22. So I think अगर हम pressure ठीक से handle नहीं कर पाए तो anxiety issues हो जाते हैं. So I'm coming back to anxiety thing because I think at that point of time, जैसे मैंने आपको अभी इंटरव्यू से पहले mention किया था कि Devyani Singh Rana जी हमारे घर भी आए 2 बार. I think there were very few people, they were not scared at that point of time because it was a big incident, top of the tongue incident happened that day. You must be knowing about it. And my family knows. So I think वो 1-2 बार उसके बाद इंसिडेंट के बाद भी आए, but I have been to this place also a couple of times with my father. तो वो चीज़ याद रखना कि after my father also was there at that time, and उसके बाद भी हमारी 1-2 बार बात हुई, obviously हम भी कहीं ऑक्यूपाई हो गए, वो भी ऑक्यूपाई काफी हो गए. So out of this, मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या आएगा? एंजाइटी इश्यूज बहुत हो रहे हैं आजकल यंगस्टर्स में, बहुत ज्यादा हो रहे हैं, and that is leading them to taking wrong decisions like drugs. और अभी हमने रिसेंटली इस पे ऑडिट में बात भी की थी. So उसको कैसे डील करना चाहिए? Because आपने तो कहा कि this thing as an opportunity, but सब लोग नहीं कर पाते. So how should one deal?
So I'll tell you two things. First of all, I've been a mental health advocate even when I was in the US. I've had my publications in Huffington Post and also in BuzzFeed USA with my byline on it. And it's something that I have worked on prior also. And there are quite a few things because this is a very vast topic that we can talk about. But if we very specifically narrow down to anxiety management, first of all, I would recommend to individuals who are facing anxiety to do two things. One, talk to someone. And if that is a professional someone, if that's a therapist, if that's where you feel comfortable, or a guidance counselor or someone of authority that you can trust, you can go to them, talk to them. Or a person of the family, talk to them, seek comfort. It is very important to find people you can trust who will guide you on the right path. A lot of the anxiety stems from the fact that there are not enough people listening to what your problem is. And I think that there's also stigma associated with being able to talk to us. Right. So now there are a lot of mental health helplines. In fact, I was at GDC Nagrota a few days back and I saw that they had a helpline number and I called them and they picked up. So even the national helpline number is doing pretty well, and asked them a few questions about how they tackle mental health among college students, and I was very satisfied with the response that they had. And I would hope that if someone requires intervention like this, that they seek out the help or the guidance that they need in the situation. Concurrently, I have seen that a lot of people don't talk about this, but I'll tell you this, is also dictated by your physical health. And in this, I've noticed more professionals can talk about this better, but I would implore a lot of individuals who are going through this to also get yourself physically checked, because your brain is a part of your body. For some reason, we look at physical health as separate and mental health as separate. However, they are both cohabitating in the same body. If you're having mental health struggles, I would first also implore you to do a comprehensive physical workup, do your blood tests, look at your vitamin D, B12, magnesium, iron and vitamin K. I believe this, and then of course calcium also is good for your physical health. So all these 5, 6, especially your D, B12 and magnesium, you can read about this better. They are said to have impact on your mental health. Like I said, I don't call myself an expert. However, these have impact on your physical and your mental health. So it is good to always know what's going on within your body. Also be mindful of what you're eating and drinking. So if drinking a lot of caffeine is giving you anxiety or is making you anxious or is making your heart race, then you should look at your caffeine consumption. For example, I know a lot of people take Red Bull or such kind of energy drinks, and what that does is it impacts your body in a particular way. Perhaps your heart is racing or your pulse is a certain way, then it can also impact your, you feel more anxious. So there are experts out there in the medical field who can guide you better, but from what I have gathered over the course of the past decade or so of working on mental health, it is that a lot of the mental ailments also may have be rooted in physical. So it's very important in all problems, do a 360-degree overview. So look at all aspects of it and try to figure out what's wrong and what is triggering that anxiety. And if it is social pressure, for example, my request to everybody would be that you are responsible for your own life. You are responsible, and with the responsibility of your own life, you are also responsible for the kind of love and affection and care that people have for you. A lot of times, the family unit itself can guide you through a lot of things. And if there is disharmony in the family, then find someone who is like family who can guide you through. Because I always say, anchor yourself in one thing. If you are feeling, there's so many things. I am trained in suicide ideation as well because of my work as a resident assistant at UCLA, and I've done myself, I think now, thousands of cases of suicide ideation when I was in the US. In that moment, ground yourself in just one thing that gives you, pulls you through this moment. And it could be someone who, from your family, someone you have affections for, someone who's a friend, or even something small like maybe you had a good day and one good thing that happened in your day, or something that gives you a song that gives you joy. Hold on to one thing and allow it to tide you over that next few hours. And if you are in a dire position, seek the medical attention that you need. I know there is still a lot of stigma that is surrounding this topic, but I would just recommend a lot of people to understand that everybody singularly has their own troubles. Like you asked me why I don't take pressure. It is because I believe that losing a father is one of the worst things that can happen to an individual, right? And so once the worst thing that can happen has happened, I particularly now don't look at anything else as a pressure. Now there's nothing worse that can happen, right? Anything that can happen we have to build capacity to be able to absorb that kind of problem. Or I am currently in that mindset. The worst that can happen in my life has happened. And now that we are building capacity, building muscle, because that is always going to be a very omnipresent thing in our collective lives. And we are going to have to, build muscle to be able to carry that weight throughout the rest of our lives. So the weight itself doesn't lessen, but you get better at carrying that load with you every day. And so it's that. Give yourself time to heal, give yourself time to tackle things. That's how I think, that's the advice I would give. I know I've given a very long answer.
That's perfectly fine. Because I read one article of Simon. He told me he was at a bar. He got a message from his friend because people feel embarrassed about talking their problems to their friends also. So he said, now we practice that thing between our friends now. So he told that I messaged you. He said, you never messaged me. The message was, I think, you have 8 minutes. So that was very important between those two friends. So हम लोग भी क्या करते हैं कि अगर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि if I have to take somebody's help, so we've kept a code word. You have 8 minutes for me. So it has recently happened with my friend also. He lives in Gurgaon. So we don't want to embarrass anyone, but I'm between friends also. So हमने एक code word रख दिया है because मुझे ऐसा लगता है आज भी कि embarrassment is the first thing that leads to such anxiety thing. So I think yes, you are right. There are other reasons also, medical reasons also. हमने अभी recently एक attend भी किया था. बहुत सारे लोगों के लड़के थे and they are into drugs now. उस चीज को हमने cover करने की कोशिश की है आज के topic में हमने.
देखिए, coping mechanisms can be both positive and negative as per the social norms, right? And some people I've seen who go through anxiety take the help of running, for example, or swimming, where they get that endorphins from that activity. And then there are individuals who get pushed into seeking endorphins from such activities, right? So it is our collective responsibility to be able to guide individuals in a path that is productive for them. Social stigma definitely is a contributor, and I believe that we must be more cognizant of the fact that all of us are dealing with something or the other, and being kind to each other, like you said, helping each other tide through the difficult times can make a world's difference for people.
Interesting. We should at least talk.
Right.
That is the, I think, even if like today also, I talk to my father-in-law, I do talk to him about it. I talk to my wife, definitely, and my brother. He's younger than me, but he sometimes he acts like he never told me.
In fact, the photo series that we did that got published was called End Stigma. And it's a photo series in which all the models, in fact, they were not models, all college students, they were photographed by me holding their palm over their mouth, about how society says different things to people and then stops them from talking about their problem. So there's different things like, I don't remember a lot by the top of my head, but there was this one where this boy said that people tell him to man up. That anytime he would say something, that they would say, why don't you man up? Again, this is in 2014, right? So that photo series has that image where there's a photo of him holding his hand over his face and it says man up. And that photo series is called End the Stigma photo series. If you look it up, it'll be available.
Well, it's new thing for me. I definitely do that. Recently, Indian women has won the World Cup 2025, and you also won the elections.
Right.
What do you want to say something about women competition and inspiration to all?
In fact, both the cricket and from the Kho World Cup, we had an individual from our constituency also be a part of the Kho World Cup. So women are doing exceptionally well. I think as more avenues open up for training and recruitment and being able to display the talent on a global stage, I think India has the talent. And we are able to now, especially under the guidance of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, a lot of fillip is being provided to sports, and sports not just looking at athletes on an individual basis, but also making training centers better, getting in the coaches, getting in the nutritionists, getting in the fitness equipment required for these athletes to excel. We are at a very exciting time for athleticism and sports in India, and I'm very eagerly looking at how the past few years, the kind of investment that is being made into sports infrastructure, how that ends up looking going forward.
So one last word, your one thought, or it could be cultural, emotional and personal thing you can share with our audience, because it will be seen not only in Jammu and Kashmir and outside Jammu and Kashmir only. Can be anything. Can it?
The first thing that popped into my mind is something that we were working on yesterday. So I'll talk about that. So a lot of us go to pay obeisance at Shri Mata Vaishno Devi. Everybody has heard about Shri Mata Vaishno Devi ji. But I have recently realized that a lot of people don't know that the Pratham Darshan, the first darshan of Shri Mata Vaishno Devi ji actually is in Nagrota Constituency. It's called the Kol Kandoli Mata Mandir, and that is where Shri Mata Vaishno Devi ji, when she was a child, Kanjak Swaroop, was there. And she started her journey from Nagrota to Katra. And wherever the path that she took is called the Prachin Marg. It's a project that Rana Sahab was working on. He even brought in experts from INTAC to restore some of the temples there. And these are the temples that were built wherever Shri Mata Vaishno Devi ji took her stop along the way. And a lot of these temples exist within our constituency. And in fact, about 7-8 months ago, an annual Chadi Yatra leaves from there. And or this year prior, 7-8 months ago, the one that took place, I was a part of that Chadi Yatra, and in fact we took it on foot. So we traveled 26 kilometers by foot and we did the journey, and it was a transformational experience. And through the medium of your podcast, I would recommend a lot of people, especially who are from Jammu, to come and pay a visit to the Kol Kandoli Mata Mandir temple. Was hand built by the Pandavas, and it's a sight to behold. We're working with INTAC to document it so that people across the country and the world know the kind of architecture that exists there and the kind of powerful background that exists there as well. There's a lot of cultural and religious pride that we must take in the fact that we continue to live among historical, places of worship, across centuries. Have made history. Even the Surinsar Lake is said to be a part of the Mahabharata. And so if something exists there in the Mahabharata and it continues to exist today, then I think it is our duty and imperative to go visit those areas and see what exists where and what is the root of that. And there is no dearth of history. In fact, I was today listening to the Most Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's Mann Ki Baat, and there are ancient artifacts, ancient buildings that have been archaeologically now being preserved of the Buddhist religion in Kashmir, and those are significant to the Buddhist religion in Kashmir, and those are very important, historical aspects of our society and Jammu and Kashmir at large. It's very important for us to, like I said, keep a 360-degree view on our histories, on where we all come from collectively, and to have that knowledge as we go forth.
So that was the end of the conversation. I hope you like it.
It was a pleasure.
If there was any error, it's just like that only. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Jai.